Hello Winning fans, if you're on a budget, here are some releases that are stunningly under $1, and with sales like this, goes to show why Steam sales are excellent, with prices decreasing as the video goes along. Beginning with Final Exam, a side-scrolling brawler from more than 10 years ago, so it might be showing its age. But if you love beat-em-up style action, this is one of interest. Four friends return to their old high school with plans for the biggest party of their lives, only to end up in a haunted town full of monsters and must fight to survive. Each of the four characters plays rather differently, think Streets of Rage 2 for example, and there are new weapons to find, new special abilities to unlock, and so much more. Of course, there is co-op support for up to 4 players online or 2 in local co-op, having a variety of minigames as well, and even a little bit of freedom in level design. So it is not purely linear, and you can backtrack to find stuff if you want, being relatively underrated, so why not give it a go. One of the longest lasting indie developers is Mandragora, best known for SKYHILL, released in 2015, and they have found a way to survive over the years and are currently making the cozy survival game I Am Future, which is in early access. This game, however, is a turn-based roguelike zombie survival RPG in which you are attempting to make your way down from your room to the bottom of a hotel to escape, but of course, it is filled with all sorts of mutants and zombies that you need to fight. You have to explore, scavenge resources and craft items, with light RPG combat elements that boils down to equipment and skills relative to those of the monsters, and due to the stylized look, does hold up in 2024. There have been a number of interesting driving games that are mixed with the paranormal, with Titan Chaser from 2021 being a title of interest. Similar to being a storm chaser, instead of going after tornadoes, you are searching for giant monsters known as Titans, and then have to chase them away with a light in order to keep your town safe. However, do not mistake this for a realistic simulation title like Jalopy, since you don't have to worry about fuel, car maintenance, health or damage, and is more of an adventure game in that sense, with the key thing here being the atmosphere created, which is great.
Tell me what happened from your point of view.
We were flying to close a black hole. It sucked us in. We crashed and, well, you know the rest.
You've got to tell me how to make a ship out of all this mess.
Look, we are collecting these.
What's this, Muck?
Nanobots that will repair the ship.
This next title is also an older game but will be for fans of the genre, since BLACKHOLE is a sci-fi puzzle platformer with gravity manipulation as its gimmick.
This is the end. We're dead.
We're gonna die in here.
And what about pressing this rescue button? It's too far away.
You're right. You're dead.
You have crashed your ship inside a black hole, meaning that you are now exploring an area where the laws of physics don't seem to apply. Visually, while it doesn't look stunning in 2024, it is good enough to get the point across, with this game being quite the challenging puzzle game from the get-go and varies up the types of levels as well. The writing and humor are good, and impressively, How Long to Beat puts this at almost 20 hours of playtime, which is impressive for a game like this, so if you love thinky games, this is one to try.
My name's Mark. I'm an adventurer. I found this cave and there was this old man in there and he told me it was too dangerous to go in. So I jostled him about a bit, took my clothes off, dyed my hair blonde and went in. I'll show him.
This next title is one of my favorites since Caveblazers released in 2017 and strongly reminded me of Spelunky, being a cave exploring roguelike platformer, but with perhaps more of a traditional fantasy influence since you are fighting off orcs and goblins. It has a wonderful minimalist pixel art style and all sorts of interesting stuff, like the ability to recruit NPCs that will fight along with you, as well as the classic roguelike randomized potions, different optional challenges, and so much more. This is Spelunky hard as well, so be prepared to die and try again, but what is there is excellent and blows my mind that you can get it at this price. It also comes to us from Deadpan Games, who went on to make the roguelite deck builder Wild Frost, which is great, so go back to their earlier game to see the evolution.
But kinda the same. I put some proper clothes on this time and took it a bit more seriously. I found another mate, we killed the big monster again, only this time it was a different big monster, and this time I killed it. I kept fighting more and more monsters and finding more and more weapons and spells. I quaffed loads more potions and found loads more power-ups that made me stronger and stronger. I was getting so good, I even started giving myself challenges. My diary was filling up. I was going further than anyone had been before, and I was going to show that old man what I was made of. But then I got smashed again. But I'm not giving up. I'm going in again and again and again. And one day I'm going to get all the way. I'll show that old man. Help me show that old man.
Don't let the fan-servicey nature of the Vagrant fool you, since this is a decent action platformer RPG with fun combat and RPG elements, in which our Vagrant heroine fights her way across the land in an effort to reunite with her family. It plays like a side-scrolling Metroidvania, and while I wouldn't go quite so far as to say it is one, it does share similar elements with those titles in having an interconnected world, but is more RPG in nature since you have a full-on Path of Exile style skill tree, an inventory system, items to use, stats and more. People have been comparing this to Vanillaware games, and I can see where they are coming from, since character and enemy design as well as the combat are kind of the same, and needless to say, is an absolute steal at this price. This next title is a weird game, so I would encourage you to jump in blind, especially if you have not heard of it before, since Pony Island is a meta puzzle game in which you are trapped in an arcade machine made by the devil himself, and even goes to the extent of outright stating that this is not a game about ponies. So how's that for intriguing? This developer also went on to make Inscription, and there is a sequel for this game in the works as well, so play this to see what the fuss is all about.
Begin.
Newer indie game fans might not be familiar with this title, and I'm going to be the one to brainwash a new generation into checking out Super Hexagon once again, an arcade action title in which you are simply moving the little triangle cursor to the gap in the hexagons, attempting to survive for as long as possible, since if you come into contact with the walls, it is game over. It is very simple and pure in its concept, with the trippy visuals and awesome soundtrack being the key draws, and allows you to get into a flow state to zone out and focus, with nothing else coming quite close to this. Another relatively simple but awesome title is Swarm Lake, a first-person shooter for all intents and purposes, in which you are blasting away at a huge swarm of polygonal enemies, jumping on their heads and firing at them, making your way towards key bombs on the map to cause maximum destruction. Its closest comparison would probably be Devil Daggers, but of course this is going for something very different in terms of visuals and vibes, and for 60 cents you could be doing much worse than this. Even back in 2017 when this game released, I felt that there was something special with this title, and history has proven me right since developer Grizzly Games went on to make Islanders and Thronefall, with individual developers from this team making games like Will You Snail, The Ramp and Summer House, all excellent titles in their own right, so it is a curiosity to go back to Super Flight, a high-score chasing game about flying around randomly generated structures in your wingsuit, where the closer to danger you get, the more points you score, being simple but ingenious in concept and just feels great to play. Watch this video for more Steam sale picks.